and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to today's visit to the Planet Hog, that is. A little sip of that Kentucky oil. Now, I welcome everybody for another episode of Planet Hog, and of course, by now you know I am your Supreme Chancellor Hog. And I wasn't gonna talk. I had some stuff I actually wanted to talk about today about, just some stuff I saw on Instagram from some friends of mine, and people who, I used to have respect for. I don't say I used to have respect. That's kind of mean, but I used to have respect for their, mental acuity, I guess you could say, but not so much anymore. However, I feel like I would be remiss not to address last night's event, the VP debate between Mike Pence and Kamala Harris. So I'm not going to spend too much time on that because, I think the thing speaks for itself, right? Reps liquidator. I think the thing speaks for itself. Mike Pence. This is actually the first time I'd ever seen Mike Pence in action. Certainly one of the first handful of times I've heard him speak. I understand why Donald Trump picked him. Now I understand why Donald Trump picked him because everything that Donald Trump was not in his debate with Joe Biden, if you want to call it a debate, Mike Pence was. So, just my real quick takes on that. Number one, Mike Pence was a beast. He was an absolute beast in allowing Kamala Harris to kind of. I'm not calling her Kamala Harris. I'm calling her Kamala. Okay, I grew up watching WWF. Kamala. Okay, the Ugandan giant. Your mama shouldn't have named you after him. Oh well. So, he did a good job of allowing her to kind of, again, what a strategy Donald Trump probably should have employed more than what he did, but he is who he is. So he did a good job of allowing her to kind of snare herself a couple of times in her words and in her. See, the thing about her, because I've watched her since the Democratic primary, and I watched when she was eviscerated by Tulsi Gabbard, who, if the Democrats had any common sense, any good sense, or any kind of awareness, like to me, Tulsi Gabbard was the candidate that if they would have put forth Tulsi Gabbard, I think Donald Trump would be in a lot more trouble than he's in right now. I'll put it that way, because Tulsi Gabbard spoke with a rational, middle of the road kind of voice, which is, I guess, is what they don't want. But the fact of the matter is, I think Tulsi Gabbard was way more of a threat to Donald Trump's presidency. I myself, I don't know, because I hear Tulsi, then I see Tulsi, then I hear her, then I see her. I don't know. Donnie, I just don't know. I don't know. I'm just glad the Democrats didn't put me in that situation. Let's just say that. I'm just glad I was not put in that situation because I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, so I saw her her being Tulsi Gabbard, I saw her kind of take down Kamala Harris, and I noticed that, she kind of gets flustered pretty easily. Or at least, to her credit, you're only on TV in front of the entire nation, right? So, understandable that you would get flustered, but it was definitely readily apparent to anybody who was watching. So, Pence did a good job of allowing her to kind of. I'll give you an example. When she brought up her record, as a district attorney in California, I was watching it and I was like, ooh, now see, I'm a chess player. So, to me, I kind of saw sometimes you just allow your opponent to kind of screw themselves, and then you capitalize on the mistake they made. And that's exactly what Pence did, and that was very good. And, look, try to say something positive about Kamala Harris, even though, I dislike her. I think she's phony. How there is not a Donald Trump ad with that song, Comma Chameleon, with her, and all the time she's flip flopped her positions, I have no idea. How that is not a commercial yet, I have no idea. But anyway, so try to say something nice. She did handle herself a little bit better than she did in the primary. You can tell she's obviously been coached. Somebody definitely told her to assert herself because she kind of caught that sister girl kind of attitude. But the first time, okay, it made a statement. But then it became like a veneer because she kept going back to it. She went back to it, I think, like 4 or 5 times, and it was just like, okay, she is nothing. That's her stalling for time. But she did what Democrats do, and to be fair, Pence did it a couple times too. She dodged a lot of questions. So you know, I don't know. It's kind of hard for me to point out one positive thing. I guess she looked more polished, okay, than she did in the primary. So there's a positive. But otherwise, I think that she was clearly overmatched. I think that she is better when she can speak in front of people where there's no questions being posed to her. I think she's a good speech person. I don't think she responds well. Now, having seen her a couple of times throughout the Democratic primaries and now here, I just don't think she responds well when she's being pressed by someone who's interrogative in nature, someone who is intending to try to get something from her. So, in short, yeah, I think this debate was a big win for the Trump campaign. We'll see. We'll see. Hopefully, some of the undecideds got some of their questions answered. I just, and I hope that people were kind of paying attention to this is the problem that the Democrats have, is that they don't really have any kind of plan. They don't really have, aside from clinging to Obamacare, which for whatever reason they think that's a good thing. And they think it's a good thing because, people associate, it's kind of like the halo effect. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but when you think good of someone, or, when you have a positive image of someone, you just attribute only positive things to them. And for whatever reason, Barack Obama has that. So you'll see a lot of these Democrat politicians cling to Obamacare because it has his name in it and makes people think of Barack Obama. That's why whenever Joe Biden finds himself in hot water, you can go back and watch the first debate. He'll probably end up doing it again in the next couple. But whenever he finds himself in hot water, he immediately jumps to Obamacare. So, I think aside from Obamacare, they really didn't have anything other than Trump failed, Trump bad. He's not a good leader, and that's not for okay. So for rational people, that's not an answer, right? If your car was broken and there were only two car shops in your town, and one of them says, "Yeah, we can fix that. It'll take this amount of time. We're going to charge you this because we have to bring this part in from here, but this is basically it." And then the other person just says, "Everything he said is wrong. I can do it better." You'd be like, "Okay, I'm listening." But if that's all they had, if they just said it again, "Yeah, he sucks. I'm better." And you go, "Okay, what do you have?" And then again, they say, "Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no, no. Don't worry about that. He just sucks. I'm better. Go with me." At a certain point, you're like, I'm noticing you're not saying anything. So I'm noticing you're not putting forth a plan. So no, I'm going to go with the guy who I know what's going to happen because he actually has a plan. So I think that's the biggest Achilles heel for the Democrats throughout all of this is they're just relying on public sentiment for Trump to be so abhorrent that people will just accept whatever they're offering, right? And it's a bold strategy, but hey, we'll see how it pans out, right? Nothing's guaranteed yet. So anyway, the debate came and went, and it's. I guess I have to mention this, right? Because it's a shame. It really is a shame, but because I thought Pence was doing it, answering a lot of questions in a very straightforward way. He didn't kind of muck and mire his points in political jargon, right? I think he did a good job of speaking straight, which a lot of politicians do not do, and I think it's to their detriment on both sides. But then again, it could be for a purpose, because if I just, it's kind of like those contracts, right? They put all those pages, all those words, because it just wears you down and they know you're not going to read it all. And then they can slip something in that they can hold over your head later on. So, but that goddamn fly, right? And I knew it. I knew as soon as it happened, I knew I could just hear the fucktards on Twitter and on YouTube. It's because he's saying nothing but bullshit. I just knew, like, it's, oh God, it's so stupid, man. It's so fucking dumb. But this is the world we live in, right? I knew immediately, it's going to be, well, flies are attracted to shit. So, yeah, well, okay, I guess. Flies are also attracted to flowers. Flies are also attracted to honey, idiot. So, okay, I mean, can we move past these little childish kind of barbs? Like, that's all it's really a shame what the left and their followers have been reduced to. It really is. It's just, they're just reduced to just playing these little stupid gotcha games for points that nobody cares about. So, but you know what? That kind of segues me into my next talking point, which is what I actually really wanted to talk about, which is man. So I go on my Instagram periodically. I'm trying to be a little bit more active on that. I just don't like taking pictures. I'm not going to lie to you. I think it's a little gay for a guy just to kind of selfie me and my coffee. I can't. I don't get it. It's not me. That, and to be fair, I just don't like pictures of myself. I just don't. Never have. Probably never will. Just probably a weird quirk of mine. But anyway, so I go in there from time to time, and Twitter obviously, and I'm just floored, really just floored at the people. Excuse me. Take another sip of this Kentucky all. So, just floored by the number of people that have just been caught up. There's no other way to put it. Now, I was born in the Garden State of NEW, Jersey, so a lot of my friends and family are there and stuff like that, and I refer to that place colloquially. Most of the Northeast I refer to colloquially as East Berlin. So, a lot of them are still in East Berlin, and man, it is insane how I don't like to use the word brainwashed, although it does work. I don't like to use the word brainwashed, but their thinking has just been corroded. Their thinking has just been completely marred by reality TV media, i.e. CNN, i.e. MSNBC. So, because they're in the hub, they're in what I like to call the hub, and to the point where I even have a Republican family member who says he's voting for Joe Biden. A man that has a semi-automatic rifle. So it's just like, okay, but but it's amazing that the power that this media has to just corrode people's thinking to the point where they're really not thinking anymore. They're just reacting. And I think that is by design. I think the leftist media, the Democrat, the liberal media, whatever you want to call it, I think there's a concerted effort to keep people reacting as opposed to thinking. Because as long as you are reacting, you are not thinking, or you're not thinking clearly. Reacting is primarily an emotional thing. And if you noticed, a lot of their pieces, a lot of their articles, a lot of their stories are just coded in all of this emotional, rhetorical language. That's why they harp so much on race, because that's an emotional thing. That's something that appeals to people's pathos. That's something that appeals. It also appeals to people's ethos, but it does not appeal to logos, logic. And the thing about it that's so amazing to me is you have people who, friends of mine, I'll even say, people I went to college with, who I've always had respect for in terms of their thinking. People who used to cling to logic like, insert simile. It's 5, 6 in the morning as I'm recording this. Give me a break. Hold on, let me take another sip of this oil and I'll get another simile. I'll get a simile going. There it is. Nah, still nothing. All right, so, but you had people who logic was their watchword, like what logic and reasoning, respecting argument, the ability to reason, and all they can do is like call names, name calling. Seriously, it's amazing to see what has been done to people who I used to regard as critical thinkers, who I used to regard as intelligent people, who, if you told me back then, these people would be completely duped by obviously false narratives and obvious emotional, sensational, scandal-driven media, I would be surprised. I wouldn't believe it. Absolutely would not believe it. But that damn hub, that hub is, man, they are zombified. I'm sorry, there is no other. And the thing about it is, you can't even have a discussion with them because they have an emotional reaction, but they don't even see it. Like, you'll be like, well, let me tell you how you're wrong. Let me tell you why this point is actually inaccurate. I don't want to hear it. Oh my God, you're one of those. You support Donald Trump. Don't talk to me anymore. Like, they have like a visceral reaction to logic. So it's, how do you deal with that? How actually do you break through to that? That is, that's the question that vexes me the most at this point, because you know to say that we've become two different countries over these last 4 years, over these last three and some change. I think that's an understatement at this point. I look at certain things and I'm just like, I don't know how we coexist at this point. I just don't. And that's a shame, because it's one thing from the past where you'd have one side that supports one thing and another side that supports another thing, and that was well and good. That was discourse. That was along the lines of what Mike Pence said to answer the question of that random eighth grader. Why do eighth graders get to ask questions on the presidential debate? Like, as a society, we have put way too much of a premium on child speakers, on children weighing in on adult matters, and we're supposed to just take these simplistic words and just, oh, this is wisdom from a babe. I don't understand this, but whatever. So Pence answered the question, and that's kind of what I'm saying. I'm kind of echoing his sentiments that, yeah, we disagree on things, but at the end of the day, we're supposed to be able to come together for the greater good, for the greater whole. That greater whole being society, America, moving forward. I just, well, number one, we can't do that because it didn't happen. Look, let's be real. All of these scandals, all of this outrage, all of these fake, sensationalized hit pieces on Donald Trump, the fact that we're still hearing the Charlottesville lie perpetrated by the proctors, by the people asking the questions on the debate, that is amazing to me. Right? Because there's supposed to be fact checks, right? There's supposed to be fact checks at every debate. Why is there not a fact check saying Donald Trump did not call white supremacists good people? The good people on both sides is false. Why is that not being said? It was literally in the same sentence. So, but the fact that you have people, I remember talking to a relative who didn't know that Chris Cuomo faked his own quarantine. How do you get through to people who are so polluted with garbage, with fake, there's no other way to put it, fake news. So, I don't know. And getting back to my other point about, how do we move forward? We haven't moved forward since Trump's election. All of this stuff has been because a segment of the population cannot accept the fact that Donald Trump beat Hillary Clinton. All of this is because of that. So, I don't know. I don't know. But that damn hub, that Northeast, East Berlin, they are in it, man. They are muck and mired in it. And I'm talking about people who were conservatives, people who, when we were in college, they supported George Bush. And I'm not saying that you got to be waving a Trump flag, although it stands to reason you would be, as people tend to get more conservative as they get older. But that aside, right? Because, people are individuals, so I get that. That aside, the fact that you can't see through, the fact that you no longer possess the objective reasoning ability to see through the obvious and pervasive lies of your selected media network because you're either willingly ignorant or just ignorant, that is astounding to me. It really is. And it's not to dog them, it really isn't. It's just a revelation that I had that's like, wow, that is the power. That is literally the power of media. That is literally the power of being an influencer. That is the power of telling people what to think. And that's exactly what they do. They tell you what to think. They don't give you the facts and let you think for yourself. They say, nope, this is how you should feel about this. So, man, that just, and it's every other day. It's just people just, I don't know, man, at a certain point, don't you get fatigued from constantly being outraged? Like, doesn't that at a certain point, don't you just kind of like, oh my God, I need a day. I need a day. These people, I don't know. I don't know. It is something to behold, and it's not a good thing. But, hopefully at some point they snap out of it, or at some point they have their own awakening. I mean, people learn things at different speeds. People have different revelations at different times. I get that. But it is amazing to see, and it's stuff that's right in your face. Like, you'll have people I know who are devout Catholics who support the party of abortion, and it's like, well, how does that work? Or they're devout Catholics, but they support the party that pays the bail of the rioters that behead statues of Jesus and edifices of the Virgin Mary. And it's like, how does that work? So, but, I've always said the thing that makes this new wave, and, I can only speak to the Democrats as long as I've been socially aware, but the thing that makes this new wave so dangerous and so slippery to deal with is that they have situational morals. They don't take any hard stances on anything. They'll flip on anything when it suits them. Everybody and their problems, every social interest group, every movement, everything that they purport to stand for is nothing more than a seasonal decoration to them. All around, hell, it's October. Well, you're going to see a lot of pumpkins and jack-o'-lanterns out on the front step, aren't you? Yes, you will. But will you see them in December? No, you won't. So in December, you'll see a blow-up Santa Claus. Yes, you will. But will you see it in January? If you live in a nice area, no, you won't. You'll see hearts with little half-naked babies shooting arrows, which is a very weird thing. In February, you'll see that adorning people's houses, offices, whatever. Will you see it in March? No, you won't. And that's how they treat these movements, right? Because for the longest time we had Me Too and Believe All Women and this, and that, right? But then Joe Biden gets accused by Tara Reid. Me Too, go away. Before Me Too, we had Black Lives Matter back, with Barack Obama, right? But then that goes away, right? Because the R. Kelly thing happened and all that. So we put that away and we put the Me Too hat on, right? And then Me Too was getting it okay. Then we put the Me Too hat away and we put the immigration hat on. But then we take the immigration hat off and then we got to pander back to black people because it's right before the election and we have such low regard for them that we're just going to, they're stupid. They won't remember anything that's happened leading up to this point. We'll just give them 3 good months and, they'll do what they do. So now we got our Black Lives Matter hat on heavy. We've got our anti-racism hat on heavy. So we're willing to overlook people like George Floyd, who robbed a pregnant woman by putting a gun to her stomach, or Jacob Blake, who raped a woman. So, these things that Me Too kind of frowns on. We're willing to kind of cross sabers here and just be like, well, Me Too. It's December. Put it away. Time for Black Lives Matter. So, and the fact that people don't see through this, I said something today that ended up getting into a conversation with somebody I haven't talked to in a while, and it was good. But I said, be very wary of any person or any institution that is constantly trying to sell you victimhood. Someone who's constantly telling you that you're a victim. Be very wary of that. Because there's something very sinister about that. That is tacitly them trying to condition in your mind that you're inferior, that you're weak. And, I'll probably do another episode on, because I can get deeper with this. Because I've had a lot of time to think about it and a lot of people to bounce these ideas off of. But this is, man, that damn hub, man, it's got them. It has got them, and I don't know, man. I don't know how we get through to them. I don't know. I think some of them are going to be lost, and some of them, maybe they come around of their own volition. Maybe something happens that wakes them up, but it's hard for me to imagine anything more drastic than scandal after scandal after scandal being proven verifiably false. And not just false like, okay, you said this happened on October 2nd. It was actually October 12th. Not that kind of false. False as in, there's a polka dot rainbow colored unicorn in my front lawn. Something that is obviously not true. So, I don't know. I guess we got some work to do. Those of us who are fortunate enough to be able to have the clarity to see through this, because there's a lot of people who are duped, and it'll be interesting to see how they react. Right? It's almost like it's crazy to see things in art come true, to come to life. People were heavy on saying, "Oh, this is 1984 and this and that." Oh, there are some similarities. There's like a couple of major ones, but the thing I think applies more to this is the Matrix. I think the Matrix applies to what's going on way, way more than 1984. Because those people in the hub, they are plugged in, man. They are absolutely plugged in. And, it's even in the Matrix, you had that one character, right, who knew it was all, he saw the bullshit, but he still chose to be duped. He still wanted to be lied to. And that's deep. That's deep, because I wonder how many of those there are on that side. People who you'll show the truth to and they'll still choose to believe the lie. Anyway, man, that's all I got for y'all today. Have a nice one. It is a beautiful Thursday. I appreciate this visit to my planet Hog. And, yeah, man, I'll come up at you guys tomorrow. We'll probably talk about something else tomorrow, actually. Something else I really want to talk about tomorrow that's kind of been eating at me. So we're gonna get that out the way. Tamara. So until then, peace.